they recognize the need to advocate for folks and to be involved. I think Eddie Bernice understood and still to this day fights for community because she recognizes our communities need to be fought for. And those are the legacies: is don't give up, stay involved, stay engaged, and work toward growing the communities. Our communities are only strong as individuals.
For the Macon leaders, Barbara Jordan, Eddie Bernice, Curtis Graves, Anthony Hall, for all of those people who were coming through in the 60s, they were the voices of those who for so long could not speak for themselves. And so a lot was placed on them to come, to be representative, to be effective, to speak, to act on behalf of thousands who were not in Austin, but who were depending on them to represent their interests.
There will be persons that agree and disagree with some of the things that they did and said, but no one can disagree that they were present and accounted for.
Those of us that have had the privilege of being elected to political office carry that historical legacy and that historical burden with us, which means that we have a special responsibility not just to be good, but to be the damn best that anybody can be in whatever position you hold.
I would venture to say there's 50% of the children in the African American community are not completing high school. If you're not completing high school, you're not going to go into college. You're not going to go into college, you're not going to get be a part of the economics, the positive economics in society.
The education of our young people is not an altruistic kind of thing. It's just not about them. Ultimately, it's about us. It's about our future. It's about the future of Texas.
I refer to our demographer, Dr. Steve Murdoch, and he has warned Texas of dire consequences of the people who have traditionally been deprived adequate education and adequate entry into the economic mainstream of this state are the peoples whose numbers are growing. And as those people become a larger percentage of the state's overall population, he has warned us that there would be dire consequences to that Texas could come to resemble a third world nation if we don't figure out how to educate our growing minority population.
Education is just vital to the success of the African American community.
We've lost so much in education and we spend more money than ever, so I hope we do some meaningful reform to really get our children back into having not only a great education but an interest in a great education.
A fight for education, for example, is a fight for education for all our kids, not just African American. Hispanics, Asians, whites. So it is very, very difficult as an African American legislator to just champion the cause of one people without ultimately impacting the lives of many others.
I think there's common ground on every issue. You have just got to be willing to give and take until you get to the point where those common grounds are met. You see, it doesn't matter whether you live in 5th Ward in Houston or the Park Cities in Dallas. Our goals are the same. We all want to educate our children with quality education. We all want health care. All of us want low taxes. So I just think it's how you work the system, consensus and friendships that you build in order to accomplish those goals.
I think that it's important for us to have all ethnic groups represented in a body such as this legislature, because we bring to the table a different set of ideas, a different culture, many of the same values, of course, but you look at the picture in a different way, and I think that you need those different perspectives in order to provide for the people of the state of Texas, which is a great state.
These African Americans who struggled and fought for elected office went on to accomplish great things for the people in their districts, usually against strong opposition. Their mission was to change the culture of Texas, to make it more inclusive for all its citizens. The struggle and determination of these early black legislators gave hope to all minorities about the importance and opportunity to participate in government.
Certainly they left a positive impression on those of us who were coming behind them.
Many people would like to forget the past. They would like to say, let's move on with the future, but in a real sense, everything that exists today is predicated on what happened previously.
Once you learn the process and you become involved in the system, then you really begin to realize how much the work you're doing affects every single Texan. You may not realize that immediately. When you first go, you think, well, I'm just going to represent the constituency that sent me there.
I take the approach that I'm a public servant, working for the public, for the greater good.
Well, I think that we fall into the category of, unfortunately, going back in time and dealing with the same fights that Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, and others dealt with in the 1970s, where there's a rollback of social programs, health and human services programs that have great value to our constituents.
As we are moving forward, there has become a mindset of the populace in politics that they no longer have to be concerned about equal rights or affirmative action or social issues. They feel that they've already paid that price.
We're certainly dealing with some of the issues of the past while we're stepping forward and charting new courses and moving ahead.
We've had people usually from top to bottom that are very talented, and they bring different talents to the table. Some are great orators, some are great behind the scenes people, great tacticians.
Texas has always been a conservative state. When the Democrats controlled it, it was a conservative state. Now that the Republicans control it, it's been a conservative state. We as African Americans and leaders have had to figure out how to be effective regardless of who's in charge.
And I would hope they would remember that I was the one who stood up and said, this is unacceptable, we can do better, and we should do better.
And so while we're here, we must do the very best we can for the next generation to follow us.